There's a lot of surface level reasons that I could give for why I left Vancouver, but if I'm being honest, none of them are the real reason. There's this assumption that when one moves across the world, it's because they're running away from something. But the truth is, I didn't leave Vancouver because my life was falling apart. I left because it was too easy to stay, and staying would have meant abandoning myself. Earlier this year, I went through the end of a nearly 3-year relationship, and while breakups are painful, this breakup didn't just end something. It initiated something. Somewhere along the way in that relationship, I became codependent. My world unintentionally began orbiting around someone else. My sense of safety, grounding, and peace lived outside of me. And when that relationship ended, it exposed a part of me that had been neglected for a long time. Me. That breakup didn't just break me. It set me free. It forced me onto a path that I didn't even know that I needed. A path of independence. A path of coming back home to myself. One of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in a relationship was making my home in another person. We would say, "You are home, you feel like home," and for a long time, I thought it was romantic. It felt comforting. But here's what I realized later. The mistake wasn't loving deeply. The mistake was abandoning the home within myself to live inside someone else. Because when you do that, your peace depends on their presence. Your safety depends on their stability. Your sense of belonging depends on whether they let you in. So, what happens when a storm hits this home? What happens when the door closes? What happens when the person you built shelter in decides that you no longer belong there? When the place that you built your entire sense of grounding suddenly isn't available anymore? And if the home within yourself has been neglected, you're left standing outside with nowhere left to go. That's the problem I ran into. And I won't pretend that didn't deeply affect me. There are still parts that I'm mending, but that's also why I'm here. I didn't move to Australia to escape pain. Part of this move, part of Australia, is me learning to rebuild that inner home so that wherever I am home because I am with me. Another truth that I had to face was this. My life in Vancouver had become too comfortable. I lived with my parents, I didn't pay rent, groceries were taken care of, I could ask for rides whenever I needed them. I was working a minimum wage job after losing my previous one. I cooked for myself, I trained at the gym, and that routine just repeated. From the outside it looked fine, but internally, I felt useless. Something felt deeply off. I felt like I was doing the bare minimum for myself. Like there was no real growth happening. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I wasn't being called forward. I've always wanted to be self-sufficient, but how could I become that when everything around me was cushioning the fall? Comfort for me wasn't nourishing anymore. It was withering me away on a soul level. Like this internal voice that was nagging at me that I wasn't living up to my full potential. So, I chose discomfort on purpose. I moved across the world to a place where I didn't know anyone at first. Where there would be no safety net. Where I would have to figure it out or fail trying. Not to punish myself, but to prove that I can. And there's something that I have to be honest about. I could have stayed. I have family who wants to take care of me because they worry about me. I have friends, and there was someone there. Someone stable, generous, emotionally mature, who genuinely wanted to build a life with me where we have no children, we travel every 2 months exploring the world together, courses, equipment, the dream workspace, all provided for. Weekly dates, steak night dinners, security. He would work the 9 to 5 to support me in this creator dream I have, all the while not caring what kind of job that I worked, whether that was a minimum wage job or something with higher status. He saw my vision and was willing to help me get there in any way that he could. I would essentially be cared for. So why wouldn't I choose that path? The answer is simple, because I want to know that I can build this life for myself first. I don't want my confidence to come from being taken care of. I want it to come from knowing that I'm capable. I think that if I had chosen the easy path right away, a part of me would always wonder, what would my life look like if I had tried on my own? And right now, my nervous system is oriented towards individuation, not attachment. See, love is bonding, but individuation requires separation. So even when something is good, even when it's kind, it can feel like containment when your nervous system is seeking expansion, when you're still becoming. That doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It means timing matters. And right now, I'm choosing sovereignty over safety. The other reason I had not yet been open about is that it hadn't been that long since my last relationship ended. And let me clarify, I do not want to get back together with my ex. That relationship felt like it was burning out before it actually ended. Truthfully, I just couldn't commit to someone new without giving myself the proper time that I needed alone. People often make being single this sad, undesirable thing. But to me, this feels like prime time. You never know if this could be your last season of being single, ever. And when I look back on my life, the seasons where I've grown the most have always been the ones where I could invest fully into knowing myself. That's what this chapter is asking of me. Before I can consciously and confidently choose to be with someone again, I need to fully experience this season on my own. And until I do that, I can't commit to anyone but myself. This isn't a rejection of love. It's devotion to self-trust. A lot of my friends joke about the Australian men, how they're oh so dreamy and oh so hot. I think they're picturing the typical Chris Hemsworth surfer god fantasy with blonde hair and blue eyes and a swimmer's body. But honestly, I don't care. That was never the point of this journey for me. I see men here the same way that I see men anywhere else, in Vancouver or anywhere else in the world. Men here are just men. I'm not here for romance. I'm here for me. I'm open to meeting people. I'm open to friendships, to conversations, to connection. But romantic investment takes time, and right now, my time belongs to my becoming. I'm not staying in one place long enough for that, and I value long-term knowing before intimacy anyway. Letting someone really know me over time before anything ever shifts. That being said, I also know that life doesn't unfold the way that we expect. If someone were to come into my life who radically alters it for the better, someone truly worth my time, my energy, and my attention, I wouldn't ignore that. But meeting someone here romantically, that's not something I foresee for a long while. Right now, I see that as a distraction from where my energy is best spent. This season isn't about finding someone else. It's about discovering myself and pouring everything that I have into my craft. I also learned something in astrology called a Saturn return. It happens roughly around every 29 years, and the first one occurs usually between the ages of 27 and 30. It's often described as a period of separation from old identities, where the version of you that relied on comfort, familiarity, and external validation starts to fall away. Saturn is about responsibility, structure, and foundations. during a Saturn return, life asks you to grow up in a very real way, to take radical responsibility for who you are and the life that you're building. A lot of people feel pulled away from family, from what's familiar, from the life that once felt safe. Not because it's wrong, but because it's no longer enough. It's a call to build something lasting, something adult, something that can actually support your future self. And learning about this honestly felt like someone putting a language to what I was already experiencing. This move to Australia doesn't feel random. It feels like a rite of passage, like I'm being asked to step fully into myself without leaning on anybody else to hold me up. There's another truth that I want to share, one that I think people will misunderstand, but I'm ready to say it anyway. My last relationship still affects me. Not because I want it back, not because he was the one, and not because I'm secretly hoping that our paths will reconnect one day. It affects me because he knew me before my expansion, and he left before my becoming. There's a very human part of me that still aches for something simple, to be seen now by someone who only ever knew the old me. It's not about reunion, it's about witnessing. Because when someone leaves before we evolve, the past us risks becoming the truth in their memory, and that hurts more than we talk about. It feels like saying, please, just see me for who I am now, so that version of me who struggled doesn't become what you remember of that final chapter. That relationship imprinted deeply because I was still learning how to regulate my emotions, how to have proper boundaries, how to love without losing me. And during that time, I wasn't always grounded. I was reactive. I was hurting. And that pain fatigued us both. He walked away holding a picture of me that I no longer recognize. And maybe that's what lingers. It's grief, but not grief for him. It's grief for the self that never got seen before the door closed. And that kind of grief stays longer than people think. Because when love ends during a formative season, it doesn't just leave a hole. It leaves unfinished identity work. And that's what Australia has become for me. Not an escape from him, but a place where I finally get to finish becoming the version of myself that relationship didn't get to meet. Maybe that's why the image that keeps coming back to me is this one. I'm on the beach, alone. The sky is heavy with rain, but it doesn't feel sad. I'm running, I'm laughing and crying at the same time. The sky is turning gold and purple at sunset, and then there's this moment where I stop. I look at the horizon, and for the first time, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. No one needs to witness it. No one needs to validate it. There's no audience, no partner, no safety net. Just me, alive, present, whole. That image isn't about Australia. It isn't about independence for the sake of pride. It represents finally inhabiting myself. Freedom without abandoning me. Aliveness without needing anybody to mirror it back. It's about having finally built home within myself, so that love, when it eventually finds me, is something that I share, not something that I hide inside of. I won't romanticize this part though. It's over a month of being here, and the job search has been a real struggle. I've only landed one single interview, and watching my savings drop has been incredibly stressful. And in those moments, I really miss the comfort of home. I miss the safety. I miss knowing that I'm taken care of. But I'm also learning something really important right now. I'm finding the balance of holding my own and allowing myself to be cared for. I've spent so much of my life swinging between dependence and independence. This season is teaching me how to stand on my own 2 feet without closing myself off to love or support. I know that these struggling moments are the defining ones. This is where resilience is built. This is where self-trust is forged. These moments, the struggle moments, they shape you, and I'm learning to embrace that. I didn't come to Australia for a vacation. I came because this is my becoming, a life by design, a life where I feel alive, a life where I know myself deeply. Becoming someone who trusts herself, someone who knows that she can survive and thrive on her own. I don't have everything figured out yet, but if you saw my last reel, we're gonna fuck around and find out.